Hello children, in today's class we are going to study the historical context of the novel Crime and Punishment. I am sharing the image of the writer Dostoevsky here. So this is the novel Crime and Punishment, the image of the front page of the novel. So a brief introduction to the writer. Dostoevsky was born in the year 1821 in Moscow, Russia, and died in the year 1881, St. Petersburg. He was a Russian novelist and a short story writer whose psychological penetration into the darkest recesses of the human heart, together with its unsurpassed moments of illumination, had an immense influence on 20th century fiction. Literary modernism, existentialism, and various schools of psychology, theology, and literary criticism have been profoundly shaped by his ideas. His works are often called prophetic because he so accurately predicted how Russia's revolutionaries would behave if they came to power. And let us now see his works. His best known novel is Notes from the Underground, and he is famous for all these four long novels. Crime and Punishment. This is what we are going to study today. The historical context of this novel, Crime and Punishment, and you will be familiar with The Idiot and the Possessed. So each of all these works is famous for its psychological profundity, and indeed Dostoevsky is commonly regarded as one of the greatest psychologists in the history of literature. He actually specialized in the analysis of pathological states of mind that lead to insanity, murder, and suicide, and also in the exploration of the emotions of humiliation, self-destruction, tyrannical domination, and murderous rage. And this particular novel, Crime and Punishment, first published in the Russian Messenger, a notable magazine in the 19th century. Crime and Punishment was officially published in 1867 and was greeted with acclaim. And the story takes place during the 1860s in St. Petersburg, Russia, under the reign of Tsar Alexander II. So Alexander had freed the Russian serfs in 1861 and began a progressive social and economic reform movement in an attempt to catch up to Western Europe. Every writer, great piece of, not only writer, even if you see any great piece of literature, everything is influenced or inspired by the time period in which it was written. Whether the author consciously or unconsciously intended to write about a specific milieu, it will always be evident in the text. This is because the author is always influenced by the point in history in which he occupies. See, that is the background of the story. The plot is placed in that background. The story of Crime and Punishment takes place during the 1860s in St. Petersburg, that is in Russia, under the reign of Tsar Alexander II. So as I said, this is because the authors is they are always influenced by the history in which they were occupied. So the text is defined and characterized by the events and ideologies prevalent in an era. And particularly this novel Crime and Punishment by Dostoevsky is no exception. See, the book is a testament to the times in which Dostoevsky lived, discussing the problems and issues that dominated Russia during his time. And the city of St. Petersburg itself was filled with bankers, clerks, and intellectuals in all spheres. So many writing about new politically liberal philosophies modeled on similar movements in France and Germany. Such movements are directly responsible for much of the content in Dostoevsky's work. And coming to this historical and political context. So Russia, during the time of the author, that is Dostoevsky, was rather different from his neighbors in Europe. So the difference is in part due to its isolation, right? Its isolation, significant historical events like Renaissance, Enlightenment, and Reformation. All these was responsible for the development of several Western European countries. So after the devastation of Kyivus by Turkic tribes and its fall to the Mongol yoke, the Russian region developed in isolation from Europe between the 13th and 16th centuries. So as I said, the difference is in part is due to its isolation. Russia was isolated during 13th and 16th centuries, between 13th and 16th centuries from other countries. So in consequence, Russia did not partake in the Renaissance, nor of course in the Reformation or Counter-Reformation. So in the 18th century, Russia gradually began to join Europe, especially under the reign of Peter the Great, now today seen as Russia's Great. So the 19th century, with the rise of the so-called intelligentsia, that is educated classes, began to view the Great Divide from the people as a great historical tragedy. Under Alexander II, Russia emancipated the serfs bloodlessly in 1861 and passed other progressive great reforms that sought to catch Russia up to Western Europe. See, Tsar Peter the Great, he encouraged westernization. Tsar Peter the Great encouraged westernization, and he wanted to bring to Russia Western European culture and technology. So between the 1830s and the 1860s, Dostoevsky was attending school and he was trying to make a name for himself as a writer. So at that same period, Russia was engaged in an intellectual struggle. So a group of individuals are called Westernizers. Okay, a group of individuals called Westernizers. They considered of educated people who believed that a major transformation was necessary for Russia to solve its social dilemmas and catch up with the rest of the world. So the burning question of Dostoevsky's day, arguably facing Russia even in the 20th and 21st centuries, remained. So what is the question that disturbed Dostoevsky? Is Russia European or not? You understand? Because it was, it was not a developed country that time, so they wanted transformation. Transformation was necessary for Russia to solve its all social and political dilemmas, all problems. So the question that remained even in Dostoevsky's mind is whether Russia European or not, or should it be? If it is not, should it be? So these are the two questions that disturbed Dostoevsky. So the faction of the so-called Westernizers continued the older aristocratic trends of speaking French at home and dressing in the latest London fashions or completing educations abroad. So the rival Slavophiles, meanwhile, protested that Russia should instead look to the people and find its roots in local folk tradition, that is Slavophilism. So what is Slavophilism? Looking to the people and the roots of its own tradition. That is Slavophilism. So the Slavophiles supported the old traditional Russia beliefs or culture. So with this, I stop today's class. Meet you next class. We'll see political background in next class. Thank you.